Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a TV review and I'll be having a look at the pilot episode of the new X-Men series. X-Men series? Oh, I meant to say that tomorrow, people. My apologies. But essentially, this is what this show is. It's the nearest we're going to get to a live-action X-Men series. Now, I'll come on to why that is in just a second. But it's not the first time something like this has been sort of attempted. We can always go back to the original sort of rip-off series. There's like Mutant X, where we've seen things like No Ordinary Family, and there was also Alphas recently. So this kind of TV show has been done a few times before. So what's this one got to offer? To give you a basic sort of story premise, it really focuses on a young guy called Steven, who is basically having to take some kind of medication because he thinks he's going crazy. He keeps kind of waking up in random different places, and amusingly between his neighbours in their bed at one shot, which I thought was very amusing, I have to say. It turns out he's actually some kind of mutant, and although they don't actually say mutant, but that's basically what they're going for here. And they have in this universe they actually have multiple abilities, and it turns out there's kind of this group of underground mutants, and they do call themselves Homo Superior, which I was very surprised about. That is straight from the X-Men comics, and all of these kind of like, I'm just going to call them mutants. All of these mutants basically have three powers. They have telekinesis, they have telepathy, and they also can teleport. And it turns out that this Steven character is kind of this kind of new mutant ultimately that is just sort of coming in, and his powers are just developing, and he also may have some kind of connection to a kind of basically a legacy involving his kind of father and other sort of family members that sort of may ultimately mean he's kind of a more powerful type of mutant. And there's kind of a shady sort of government organisation, once again very much like sort of the X-Men sort of universe, that are sort of trying to put a stop to them purely because they don't want to sort of scare humanity. So this is really straight out of kind of the X-Men comics, unfortunately. So not to say it's a bad necessarily, but it does take away maybe some of the originality from it. Because I was kind of just thinking, my God, how much have they taken from the X-Men comics? Now, that being said, I thought this was quite a good pilot. I thought the central character, Steven, was actually kind of quite a likeable guy. You sort of started rooting for him sort of fairly early on. You know, he seems like he's a kind of likeable guy. He's got a good relationship with his kind of family, and he's got one sort of female friend, which I'm maybe thinking is probably going to be a love interest at some point. And he sort of gets together with this kind of random group of sort of underground mutants or Morlocks, and he sort of builds up relationships with them. One thing I did like about this TV show as well is that we're kind of introduced to these bad guys. This bad guy is this sort of shady government organisation, and they're called the Ultra. However, one thing I liked is that they actually gave some valid reasons about why they're kind of going after these kind of these mutants, basically. And I thought that was kind of good to make them not necessarily completely black and white. What they were saying was that there's these people with powers are basically sort of going in, putting launch codes on the internet. So they're kind of doing criminal stuff, basically. And when you think about it, yeah, there maybe should be some kind of regulatory body to basically keep these people in check. So I'm actually hoping that this series is going to get down that road and not just have them kind of like your very stereotypical bad guys. I'm not quite sure how it will go yet. I'm hoping that they'll kind of keep maybe a question of morality in it, and like a kind of grey area. So they're kind of bad guys, but they maybe have a point, very much like Magneto. So I really like the kind of like the maybe the parallels that it does draw, even though it's maybe not a very original ideas behind this. I thought it was still fairly well executed. I thought all the characters were fairly interesting. Very kind of typical TV casting, if I'm completely honest. But that's what's going to happen in these TV shows. You can't really get away with it unless you're kind of, watching cable stuff. But there you go. But I thought it was a reasonable pilot. There wasn't, in the actual pilot story itself, I didn't think there was necessarily too many surprises in it. But nevertheless, I thought it was an entertaining series, and it's certainly one that would maybe keep me intrigued to watch it further. They kind of muddy the waters right at the end. I won't go into it in case you haven't seen it. They kind of muddy the waters a little bit at the end as well. So I think this show maybe has some promise, and there's also maybe teasing that there may be sort of other powers that are kind of going to be available as well, certainly for our kind of main character, Stephen. So I thought it was a pretty decent pilot, I have to say. Maybe not the most original, but worth watching. So if you're a fan of like superhero type or sci-fi type shows, you may want to check it out. I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Fairly decent, I've got to say. Let me know what your thoughts were. Leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.